Is the California rental assistance program out of money? Is housingiskey.com broke? We're going to run through how much money the state of California has given out and how much money they've committed for the California rental assistance program. We're going to discuss what would happen if they ran out of funds early, and stick around to the end where we're going to cover a rumor that the housingiskey.com website is done accepting applications as of January 31st, 2022. And we're going to give tenants and landlords some hot tips before rental assistance runs out. Hey there, Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. We've been helping tenants and landlords and buyers and sellers make the best decisions during these crazy days, and we've been there since the beginning, reporting on the eviction moratoria and eventually on the eviction bills that created the rental assistance program in the state of California. So if you're ready to dive into the California rental assistance program and how much money's left, hit that like button and let's get started. Here we are at the state of California rental assistance dashboard. This is a great accountability tool set up by the state of California, and you can find this at housingiskey.com. I've done content on it and I have a link below so you can visit. It's worth looking at. It was just refreshed for January 25th. So this is the most recent set of numbers. What this runs through shows us the applications, shows us the number of applications that are complete and how much is being requested in the way of rental assistance and back utility payments. Shows us how many have been approved, how much has been paid, and gives us the total dollar amount. So this is a good tool that's going to show us just how much money the state of California has given out and how much more they need. And when you look at these numbers, it really puts things into perspective. You can see that for the state of California, almost $7 billion has been requested in rental assistance and utility payments. That is a lot of money. And so far, over $1.8 billion has been paid out. So that's great. It is getting into the hands of tenants and landlords, helping them get back on their feet. But there's a long, long way to go. That $7 billion that has been requested, how does that compare to the number of dollars the state of California did receive? We're going to run through that right now. Let's put this into perspective. There were two stimulus plans that were passed, one in December 2020 and one in March of 2021. In those bills, there were $46 billion that were earmarked for emergency rental assistance from the National Treasury. Of those $46 billion, the state of California received $5.2 billion. And this was divvied up between the state itself and local municipalities. Any municipality with over 200,000 people was able to receive funds directly. Now, of the $5.2 billion that California received, 2.6 approximately went directly to the state. And that is what is being distributed through housingiskey.com, plus any local municipalities that opted to have the state distribute their local funds. So you can see that 2.6 billion and a little bit is not enough. We need almost 7 billion, and that's as of today. The demand is going to continue to go up. And how is the 2.6 billion being distributed? The Treasury requires that those that are at the highest risk of eviction and those that are at the lowest income level, as measured by the area median income, they get priority over others. And Jessica Hayes from the HCD gave a very informative presentation on this. You can see the first tier is households at 30% or less. Second tier, third tier, not eligible would be anybody at 81% or higher of the area median income. And there's tools when you apply to help you calculate where your income falls. So you can see that the priority has been for those at lower income levels. Those are where the funds are meant to go. And if you aren't in those lower income levels, if let's say you're at 60, 70, up to 80%, you have to wait until funds go to others. And what Jessica also shared is that even after a landlord and tenant have received the award notice saying that they will be getting the money, they may still have to wait in order for funds to go to those who are at a lower median income level. Here we are back at the rental dashboard, so you can see who's received the funds. So the folks who have received the funds, almost 64% have gone to those at 30% or lower of the area median income. Then you can see another big chunk is that for those that are are between 30 and 50. Anything above 60 to 80, that's the smallest group that has received the funds. So if a tenant's income falls into there, they're going to be waiting for the funds. What would happen if rental assistance were to run out early? Well, there's two important areas we're going to cover. And number one is evictions. Landlords would be able to move forward with unlawful detainer actions, otherwise known as evictions. Unless there's a local moratorium still in place, which there are a few areas in California, for example, LA County and LA City. Thanks to AB 832, the last eviction moratorium bill, landlords are currently giving out a special 3-day notice to pay or quit in the event that a tenant misses rent payments. And what it requires is that the landlord must apply for rental assistance no matter what reason that the tenant is missing the payment of rent. If the tenant doesn't cooperate or the funds run out, then the landlord can move forward with unlawful detainer. Now, this is supposed to run through the end of March 2022. If the funds were to run out early, this would allow landlords to move forward with evictions. So there could be a big wave of evictions if the funds run out early. The other important area if the funds run out is landlords won't have the funds to make them whole, and tenants will still be stuck in the hole. So the point of these funds is to help get people back on their feet. And if the funds run out, there will be plenty of landlords and tenants who aren't able to get back on their feet and be relieved of the back debt. Landlords are able to move forward with small claims court to recover the back COVID rental debt that's owed. So if the funds run out early, it will affect a lot of landlords and tenants that are counting on those funds. But don't worry, the Treasury is able to reallocate funds and move those to areas that need more. And California is a prime example. We need a whole lot more funds. In fact, in November of 2021, the state of California reached out to the Treasury and requested $1.9 billion in additional funding. The Fed reviewed this and moved funds around, but unfortunately, in January, the state of California only received about $62 million, which obviously is a drop in the bucket. California will get more funds as the Treasury continues to reallocate. But the question is, when and how much? And if you're subscribed to this channel, we'll make sure you get the answer. Shout out to fellow YouTuber TJ from Angelica and TJ's Adventure channel. I have a link below so you can find that one. He gave me a call and filled me in from a very reliable source that he heard that the California Rental Assistance Program was going to stop accepting new applications as of January 31st, 2022. They'd still work on existing applications, but no more new applications. I asked Jessica Hayes of the HCD if this was true, and she had not heard of that rumor, and she had checked in earlier today to make sure there were no changes to the program. According to her, the application process is still wide open. But this is a great segue into our first important hot tip. The state is working hard to make sure that everybody who needs rental assistance gets it, but at some point in time, the funds will run out. So hot tip number one is get your application in if you have not applied. There is no point in waiting any longer. If you owe back rent as a tenant, make sure you get that application in. If you feel like you're not gonna be able to pay rent for February or March, also get an application in. It will then hopefully be in the queue for processing in the event that funds do run out and they stop taking new applications. I have another 833 number for you in addition to the usual hotline number, and this is for landlords who need help with applications or tenants who need help with applications. Also, landlords can call and let this network know that their tenant may need help. What you're going to do is you're going to call 833-687-0967. This is exclusively for help in the application process. You will not call this number to get an update on your application, but this is what you need to make sure, particularly you tenants, have everything in that you need to get in. We've released plenty of content and we'll keep it coming on housingiskey.com, and we've mentioned the hotline you need to call. That's 833-430-2122. This hotline is who you'll call to get updates, but bear in mind that there are only certain things they can help you with. If there's a change you need to make in your application that you've submitted online, you're going to go ahead and call the hotline. If you've been approved for rental assistance, unfortunately unfortunately, the hotline folks will not be able to let you know when you're going to be paid because they can't see it on their end. It's still all part of the prioritization based on the area median income. The other better way to check your application status is to log in to the website at Housing is Key, and you can see where you are in the process. And I recommend, this is another hot tip, log in regularly, maybe every few days, to check on the status of your application, both on the landlord and tenant side. Do not wait for an email to come from Housing is Key, because unfortunately too many of those end up in a spam folder. When you do call into the hotline, make sure you have your landlord case ID number or your tenant case ID number handy, plus details on the address of the property and the names of the tenants. As far as landlords getting updates from the call center, we've been hearing that occasionally landlords will run into issues where they're not able to get an update because of privacy issues. Unfortunately, there isn't much you can do to get beyond this, but continue to try calling and/or visit the online portal application to see where things are. One more important point: if you suspect fraud on any level, and this could be a tenant or a landlord who finds that somebody's applied on behalf of them, or another case that would be an example is where a tenant has received payment and has not forwarded that within 15 business days to the landlord, make sure you call the hotline and ask for the Fraud Management Center. They will help you make sure that they can get your case taken care of. And in the example where a tenant hasn't forwarded those funds, they're actually able to claw back that money and make sure it gets to the landlord. One of the most common questions we find on our channel for rental assistance is people saying, what is going on with my application? Where am I in the process? Why is it taking so long? So an important point Jessica had is that it circles back to the prioritization. So you're waiting longer because of the prioritization process potentially, and also because those funds need to go to those who are at the lower median income level. The state of California is working to get additional funds as they run through the funds that they've been given so far. They're working hard and they want to get money into all landlords and tenants' hands who deserve the funds. Let us know in the comments below what other questions you have about the California Rental Assistance Program. And also let us know if you have any success stories or tips. Please share so that maybe you can help someone else out there. Of course, we'd love to have you subscribe to our email newsletter so you can join over 2,000 others who get the free weekly news with updates for tenants and landlords and buyers and sellers. Here's a link to a playlist that you should check out about California Rental Assistance Program. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we appreciate you.